Okay, welcome to our introduction to strategic sourcing. This is kind of like a little kickoff session for our training that's going to take place next week. And you all have received meeting invitations for those trainings. So hopefully you've accepted all of those, and your calendar is cleared for next week. So Mike and I are actually going to talk through these slides with you guys today. We're going to give Lana, Kristen, and Stacy the day off today. They're going to pick it up next week. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit, or Mike's going to talk a little bit about what is supplier contract management and strategic sourcing, and then give you a little overview of what that's going to look like for the supplier slash offerer and you as the buyer. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming training sessions, meeting your training needs, how we're going to do that. Town hall, we do have a town hall meeting for suppliers coming up toward the end of next week, and I want to share a little information regarding that with you. We are using a phased go live approach, and Mike's going to talk through that with you, and then I'll share some next steps to get you prepared for our first training on Tuesday. Okay, so Mike's going to start with what is supplier contract management and strategic sourcing. And I know yesterday we had a great conversation with our little project team, and I know Venus and Clarissa are very excited about this, and they were, these are just a few benefits, but Mike's going to talk and share this with you right now.
Well, thanks, Joanne. I'm actually really excited about it too. We've been on PeopleSoft for it's like 5 years now. Are we going on 6? I think it's 2015. Yeah. And so we've been on this for a long time. PeopleSoft, primarily our involvement in it has been very transactional, and it's been to supporting that financial system conversion. But with this, we're finally get something that really, really benefits us. I mean, and I have to say it that way. I'm excited about it because what we're implementing 2 modules in PeopleSoft, and that's a term. Like a module is like purchasing or accounts payable, but we're implementing one called supplier contract management, and that in and of itself is it's a document management system, and it's used for managing our solicitation packages, or what we currently have as Word documents, and it's all those supplier contracts that we have for all of our solicitation opportunities, those solicitation packages, those documents. That module works hand in hand with another module called strategic sourcing, and that module is used to manage the life cycle of that entire solicitation creation to the awarding process. And so strategic sourcing is the PeopleSoft module that handles that entire life cycle, from the time someone asks us to engage the software to create a solicitation for some sort of bid or proposal, all the way through the life cycle to where the contract is created and the purchase orders are created. So those 2 modules are what we're implementing. They work together, to help us kind of build this whole life cycle and the deliverables that come out of it. Why are we doing this? I mean, certainly when we get into some of the little more details about this in your training, I think you'll begin to see. But one of the things that's cool about it, specifically with strategic sourcing, is that we're going to, over time, we're going to build this system that is going to become smarter and smarter. And so when we create solicitation events, we're going to have a pool of suppliers that may or not be active suppliers at USC, but there'll be a pool of companies and individuals that it'll make it a lot easier for them to be notified of any potential solicitation any solicitation that we posted that's out there. And that's going to be great, because then that really facilitates fairness. And I know we embrace that, especially our department at the University of South Carolina. We really embrace that desire to have fair opportunity for all of our suppliers to participate in these solicitations. And this module moves us further and further in that direction. And then on top of that, it gives us a better chance to get additional offers for solicitations. I think it makes it easier on the suppliers to see those and be notified of them, so that we can get, we can get more offers for some of these solicitations and impact the bottom line. Save some money and at the same time meet some of our our other guidelines and recommendations that we have from state procurement. So I'm pretty excited about the first bullet point. The second one is that you're going to see this in training when we get to it. This module has a wizard that is used. It's like a wizard's like a step-by-step, screen by screen that asks questions about the solicitation, and then that's used. Those questions come together, and the system churns and calculates, and it creates a solicitation document based off the answers to all those questions. Very, very similar to skis, if any of y'all had any experience with that before. So that's exciting, and I think that we're all pretty excited about how that's coming together and what we can see out of that. And it's all based on the state compendium, the state procurement compendium. We've configured it specifically following that step-by-step approach. And then the other thing it's doing is it's bringing us all together. Our system campuses and the Columbia department together, the central procurement. It puts it all together, and it allows that visibility so that the campuses can see what's happening at central procurement, and it brings us together kind of like a one procurement organization within this University of South Carolina. And then like I kind of already mentioned, it streamlines the way that our suppliers can receive these offers and then complete their online submission of these offers. So with that, I think Joanne, if you could take me to the next slide, we'll get into a little more details. And so what does this mean for a supplier? I think I probably touched on some of it, but just kind of more kind of specifics. This new system will provide a supplier and offer public access to a PeopleSoft presentation of our University of South Carolina goods and services and construction solicitation. So now suppliers, they navigate to purchasing at .sc.edu, and they go to our purchasing website, and then y'all know the page really well. They click on solicitation opportunities, and we've got a system that we've been maintaining for several years where they can look at those solicitations. What's going to be provided with this system is that's going to be presented in PeopleSoft. There's going to be a page that they actually go to. They don't even have to log on. They just click on a link, and we display those solicitations through this new way of interacting with the public, and that's kind of cool. So they'll be able to see all those solicitations online in PeopleSoft, and so then that takes it right to the next step. There'll be also an electronic offer registration in PeopleSoft for any new suppliers. And just to touch on that, I think we're all familiar, with either our legacy system or PeopleSoft. We've always had this supplier database where we keep track of our suppliers that we have a relationship with at the University of South Carolina that we pay. It's always been kind of a pool of suppliers that we've already sourced and we're intending to pay. What we're going to introduce with strategic sourcing is we're going to have a whole nother pool that's set over on the side. That's a pool that we welcome everyone to jump into. And it's a pool that we'll be able to invite people to, and we'll be able to invite them publicly and say, hey, register yourself, register us an offer so that you can be notified of future solicitations. And that pool, we welcome everyone to jump into that pool. And so that's what's really cool about that second bullet point. We're providing them the ability to give us just a little bit of their information so that when we post a solicitation, the system will crunch and calculate and decide that these certain suppliers that are in this pool should be notified. And I think there's one more here. So the electronic creation and submission of responses to solicitations. So that's the nuts and bolts. That's where they go in and they see a solicitation. They're like, this is great. yeah, I want to submit an offer for this, and I could definitely add value with this. And they can go in and they can answer questions and they can enter their offer price, that sort of thing, and submit those. And so it's all online. They'll be able to see them online, and they'll be able to register and get into the big offer database, and then they'll also be able to submit responses to the solicitations online. And so you can go to the next one, Joanne. And what does that mean to us, though? What's on the other side of it? What does that mean to us? And I've already mentioned, I kind of bragged on the compendium-based clause library in this wizard that you'll get more information on when we do training. But we've got this really cool way to create our solicitation event documents, and that's a big win for all of us. There's no more copying and cloning Word documents and scrolling down through there page by page to see what clauses you need to manually take out and all that. Uh, it's going to, like I said, it's going to be a system where it figures out what that document needs to look at based off of your answers to the questions on those wizard pages. And then, if as we get we're going to walk before we run, but as we get used to using this supplier contract management, it also facilitates, what I call electronic collaboration of those documents, so that we could pass those documents around, certainly internally within the purchasing department. But as we get more and more familiar with it and we take advantage of things, we could even pass those documents around internally to the University of South Carolina. We're not really turning any of that on at first, but it puts us in that direction so that we can start taking advantage of some of that electronic collaboration. And then the third thing is it has a scoring and an optimization engine in it that can calculate. The system can calculate for us who is who has the highest score in terms of any kind of offer price that they entered, and possibly any other types of scoring that either they entered or that we entered based off of some sort of experience that we've had with the supplier before, or the way that they responded to the solicitation. So there's a page that we'll get used to using in here that allows us to at least see what the strategic sourcing module thinks is the best offer, and then we of course can decide for ourselves which supplier that we want to award it to. And then the final bullet point there is all of this is in the system. So we've got our document in there, we've got all the offers and the questions they ask and the prices and anything that's in there, our record of negotiations and all that analysis is stored internally, and that certainly helps us in any kind of freedom of information request or any kind of protest or anything like that. We have it all there, and it's all documented, and not just for that, but for ourselves too, so that we can look back historically and see what was the history of this solicitation and why did we award it to this particular supplier. So anyway, as you can tell, I'm kind of excited about it. I was just going to give you, this is just an example of more of the details, and this is just a kind of a flow chart out of the system. So it's got a few things on it that we don't necessarily use, but it does a good idea of kind of showing you the life cycle of what happens and what we're going to be using in this module. So I'm just going to start at the top, and we create what we call an event. It's a solicitation event. We create that, and that's in strategic sourcing, and that's the record of the transaction of our solicitation. And then we create and edit the solicitation document. And then, an optional step is we can collaborate internally. And we can, we don't have to collaborate internally. We've talked about that as the team. We might just continue to collaborate it outside of the system. And then there's a facility for approving the event. We're not going to really use the approval, but we're going to certainly post it. And when we post it, then the supplier facing box comes into play, and the suppliers then can see, they can review these events, just kind of going down through there. They can review the events. They can then submit offers. And so over on the left of submit offers, they can register us an offer. They can if they're already a USC supplier, they can request a supplier user ID. That way they can get in and submit an offer electronically. And then time passes, and we close the event, and then we analyze the event, and then we produce the notice of intent to award, and then we award it. From that, we get a contract. A contract gets created, and then what's really cool too, if it's a supplier that's not currently a University of South Carolina supplier, this new module automatically creates them as a supplier. And so a lot of this stuff we don't have to type information in as much as we did before. So the contracts created automatically from the solicitation event, and the suppliers created automatically from the offer database, information. And so there's definitely some benefit even on the kind of downstream benefits that we have by using these two modules. And so with that, I think that's it for me, right, Joanne? I think if you could go to the next one, you're gonna take over here and talk about training.
Thanks, Mike. So, like I said, today's session is just a kickoff to prepare us for next week's training. And so our first two sessions are going to be with Kristen, and that's creating an event, and then editing a document, creating a document, editing a document, and collaborating, and then posting. And so Mike just shared that overview with you. So we actually organized the training sessions based on that overview. So we're kind of following the same flow. Then Lana is going to be the third session on the next week, and she's going to actually walk through the supplier end of the process. And not that you guys will be doing that, but it is good for you guys to see the whole picture of once your event is posted, then it will be nice for you to see, what a supplier is going to do once it's out there on that public portal. And then also Lana's going to walk through a proxy entry process, and you'll understand why that's so important when Mike talks through the the stage go live approach that we have. And at the beginning, we'll be receiving paper responses, and those will need to be entered into the system. And so we have some folks identified that will help with that, and they'll be trained on that specifically. And like I said, as buyers, you may not all be doing this, but we, Clarissa wanted to make sure that you guys see the whole picture. And then Stacy's going to pick it up with session 4 and session 5 once the supplier has responded, and our end date it's closed. Then all of those folks you're going to go in and you're going to analyze and you're going to award. And so that is with Stacy. And then finally in the end, we're all going to come back just before we actually finish up all 3 stages and just talk about review what we've done so far. Great time for you guys to ask some questions or share some concerns that you have, and then steps to take before go live. So that is actually before the suppliers actually everything that they're going to be able to do goes live. So we just want to spend some time chatting through that with you. If for some reason you do not have all of these sessions on your calendar currently, please reach out to me and I will be sure to forward all of those meeting invites to you. We want to make sure that everybody is there and participating. And a couple other things during training. We are using Teams meetings, so it's very difficult, I'm sure, for us to separate ourselves from our daily job during a training session. And we're sitting in a room where our computer is there, our phone is there, and a question comes in through email, and we just want to answer it right away. But we really want you guys to really focus on this training. It's very important for you to turn off your phones, close down your emails, put a do not disturb sign out on your door if you're in the office, so that you can fully concentrate on what's taking place in that training session. It's going to be easy to miss something. Kristen, Lana, and Stacy are going to be using a job aid that you will have to access to print. And we're strongly encouraging that if you do not have a second screen in your office or at home, that you print the document, so that when, for example, session 1, Kristen says, okay, we're going to start on page 2, step 1. And that way you guys can all stay on track. And, you know, if someone gets lost, Kristen can say, okay, well, I'm on page 10, step 20, so that you guys can stay focused and keep moving along. You will have the opportunity to actually use the testing environment, and we're going to make sure, I'm going to work with Mike to make sure that you all can sign in and that you have the access, the roles that you need in the system to follow through all of the exercises that that Kristen's going to be sharing with you, and Stacy as well. And then I think Lana will have them practice proxy entry as well during your session. So we'll work with Mike to make sure that you have all that access when we start training on Tuesday.
I can't hear anything. Is it just silence?
It
I
is
can't-
for me too.
I can't hear Joanne.
She
Oh.
muted herself.
Okay, I guess I did. I apologize. So did you guys hear at what point should I pick up?
We got all that, and then you
Okay.
flipped to the next slide, and we didn't hear anything.
Yeah,
else.
it stopped when you changed slides, Joanne.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So meeting your training needs. So most importantly, we're going to be providing you an opportunity to complete these exercises in a training environment. So you're going to get some hands-on training, and we're going to be providing some detailed job aids, which you will have printed for our training sessions, and then also you'll have available for once we go live. Now, these detailed job aids, you know, I'm currently working on them, and the team is going through the process of, you know, reviewing and editing. And but they're going to grow. I mean, we just want to take care of basic things. We want to cover basic things with you just to starting next week. But as you know, this system grows, and as you continue to become more familiar with the functionality of these new modules, then we'll just add to those job aids throughout that process. And then also, you know, what's really good is that you have your trainers there in the office with you. So if there are any questions that you have, or if you're struggling with anything, you're going to have that ongoing support provided by Kristen, Lana, Stacy, and then Mac as well. You know, Mac is not going to be actually training during these sessions. He is certainly a huge super user here who's very, very familiar with this functionality, and we'll be able to provide that support as well. So we have a town hall meeting that's going to be taking place next Thursday, and you have all been invited to that as well. We've sent that out to current active suppliers, and I believe the invitation was going to be placed out there in Skibo as well. And so we have invited you just so that you guys can get a glimpse of what is going to be expected of suppliers and what they will need to do to respond to an event, to a solicitation. And so, you know, in that session, we're just going to demonstrate how they register as an offerer, how they need to request a user ID if they're active and have not entered the supplier portal system as of today. And then we're also going to show them how to create an offer and submit that offer. We're going to show suppliers. Mac is already in the process of creating a page out there on your purchasing website that will show suppliers, give them a little background again on, you know, what is strategic sourcing, and then show them where they can find training resources to help them walk through what they need to do in that public portal. Supplier access. So suppliers will be able to register as an offerer starting March 1, but will not create offers in PeopleSoft until stage 3, as outlined in the phase go live approach on the next slide, which Mike will speak to. And so something important, though, that I want to really need to bring home is that during our town hall meeting, this is for suppliers. So if anyone in the purchasing department has a question, please hold those questions, you know, till after the end of the town hall or for the next training session. We just, you know, we don't want to throw our suppliers off, and we really want to come across as one unified group of people. And so if you could hold off those questions, like if you were going to question something that, you know, a process that we've decided, please hold off on to do that until the next week, or you can send, an email to the team and bring that issue up there. We would greatly appreciate it if you could do that. So I'm going to hand it back over to Mike, and he's going to review this phase go live approach with you all.
All right. Well, thanks, Joanne. What you're looking at now is it's a life cycle. It's a presentation of the life cycle of an event, solicitation event, from left to right. And so the columns represent kind of the state or the process, from the beginning to the end. And then we've got three stages that are represented with those rows underneath the kind of the headings. And I'm going to just, wanted to kind of explain it that way first. And on the very far left, the first column is, what I talked about was event creation, where, we're creating a solicitation event, the data that captures that event, when it starts and when it ends, and its name and description and anything related to that, what category we're basically looking for. All of that's currently we don't really have something like that. What we have is we have our solicitation document, but there's nothing electronic. Maybe there's some sort of spreadsheet or whatever. About the only thing we have is possibly a requisition. But what we're going to do on the first column is we're going to start using PeopleSoft. Day one, which is March the 1st, we're going to use that the PeopleSoft strategic sourcing module to do that. And that's what the green basically means in PeopleSoft. And the gray typically means, our current process, the way we do it today. And then the yellow is a hybrid. So the next column over, we're still on stage one. The next column over, if you look above stage one, all of our document creation, that happens. We know how that works with all of our templates in our Word documents, previous solicitations we've used, and the process we use to create new ones. On our first day of go live, we're going to use supplier contract management to create those documents. And those first two columns, I think, they're really key, because that'll be the first thing we do with these two new modules. Is we're going to take possibly a requisition, some sort of trigger that requires us to create a solicitation event, and we're going to go in and we're going to use these two modules to create those. Now, what we're going to do though is we're going to mitigate a little bit of risk, because once we've created that solicitation document and we've entered that event correctly, we're going to save that document as a PDF, like we do today, and then we're going to attach that to our current purchasing solicitation page. So this is a walk before we run approach, and that way we'll have our solicitation opportunities. They'll still be out there on our purchasing website the way they are today. And so that kind of represents the first three columns. And that's stage one. That begins March 1st, probably lasts like that for a couple of weeks. We're targeting March 15th, 2 weeks later, for doing our stage three. I'm going to keep going across the columns, and then we'll talk about stage three. So I'm still in stage one. Stage one, March 1st. On that day, if we need to invite, for instance, any offer that's not currently a supplier, we can reach out to them and ask them to register us an offer. Beginning at that point, we're turning that on. We're turning that ability for someone to register us an offer, and this is real important. We want everybody to have a chance to get their information in, so that when we get to stage three and they start entering and submitting offers, that they will have had plenty of time to get themselves set up. And so that's, that fourth column is really about them setting themselves up with their own information, such as their name and their company name and company address, and getting that in our database. The fifth column is them actually completing an offer, completing the solicitation package and submitting it to us to submit their offer. That's going to be the current process, the way they do it today. They'll send it an email, or they'll mail it to us, send us paper. And we're going to continue to take that for the first couple of weeks. That way we don't have them in the system, and have to triage their questions and possible issues that they might have submitting electronic offers. We want to just keep them out for a couple of weeks and let them do it the way they've always done it. They won't really know, see, because they'll see the offer on the purchasing website from column 2, and they'll submit it the way they've always done it. But what we'll do is we'll take those offers on the next columns, PeopleSoft proxy entry. We'll take those offers and we'll enter them on behalf of those suppliers. We'll enter them into the system. There's a component page that we use to do that. So for the first couple of weeks, if we receive any, that are part of this, and we might, that we'll enter those on their behalf. And then from there on, we'll use the system. We'll analyze all of their submissions using that optimization engine that I was bragging on, and we'll award the event. Should we have one that's fast cycle like that, we could award that event, and PeopleSoft create the contract, produce our notice of intent to award and everything, and of course then create the contract. Those last 4 columns will be PeopleSoft from day one. At one time, we thought we were going to have a stage 2 where we would produce the notice of intent to award outside the system, but that's no longer required. That's ready, working really well, so we're going to do that in stage 1 also. And stage 3 is pretty simple, really. The only difference between stage 1 and stage 3 is the third column, event posting, where where basically all of the suppliers, they'll go into PeopleSoft and they'll use the PeopleSoft, supplier portal to submit their offers. And then, that's actually in the middle column there. But we'll post them on PeopleSoft. They'll see them on PeopleSoft, and then they'll also submit them. So what we're doing is just 2 stages, just to try to, the main thing is we wanted just to give ourselves a couple of weeks to get really familiar with those first 2 columns where we're creating those documents and making sure that the system works the way that we intend it to. We've tested it a lot, but we want to make sure we've got the first 2 columns that we're real comfortable with that before we bring the suppliers into the process. And that's why we went with the stage 1 and the stage 3 approach. So now you can go, Joanne. I'm done now.
I wasn't trying to stop you, I promise.
No, it's
I
good.
just clicked a button. All
Sorry.
right, so next steps. So hopefully you've accepted all of our meeting invitations. And as I requested before, if there's for some reason you don't have one on your calendar, please reach out to me and I'll make sure to forward those to you. Job aids. So I'm hoping to, you will receive an email from me on Monday with access to the job aid for sessions 1 and 2. The document's big. Don't let it scare you. It just means there's a lot of screenshots in there. So it just has, steps and a screenshot where you will complete those steps below it. And that's the way the document's kind of formatted all the way throughout. So we'll have to send you a link to the document on OneDrive. And then you can print it if you only have a laptop, or you can display it if you have a second screen. And then also make sure once we start training that your email is closed, your phone is off, and a do not disturb sign is on your office door during training times. We just really want to make sure that you guys are focused and paying attention during these sessions. So before I pass it over, take some questions, I was wondering if Clarissa and or Venus have something they'd like to say before we take some questions.
Oh, we didn't practice that, Joanne.
I know. I'm like, I put you on the spot. But you guys were so excited yesterday, so I thought maybe you'd like to share that excitement with your team.
Yeah, I really wanted to take the opportunity to let our sister campuses with Procurement Authority to just let them know how much I think that this will create a lot more collaboration, so to speak. Tammy and Jeff, we've had conversations often in which sometimes it seems like we make decisions at central procurement and we don't particularly involve you. And I'm hoping that this will be a tool that'll allow us to collaborate much more on some of the stuff that we do. Clarissa?
I did what Venus has said, and once you guys get into the training, you'll see why we are so excited about this. It's just going to change the way that we do things for the better. And I want to reiterate what Joanne said about making sure that you allot this time for the training. Put it on your calendars, and please do, your best not to answer any emails, any texts, phone calls. Only Taylor can answer the phone during that time. Everyone else, please pay close attention to what's going on so that we can not have so many questions at the end. Okay? I look forward to seeing you guys on every call and working with you so that we can have a better process in place.
Thank you. Great. We didn't need to practice that. See? All right. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to open it up to all of you, and we're going to practice using our raised hand. If you see this up here, hopefully you can see that on my screen. If you have a question, if you could click that raised hand, and I will see that you have it, and I'll say, so for example, let's say if Kim Rose had a question, I'll see her raised hand. I'll say, okay, Kim, go ahead and unmute and ask your question. We're going to use this strategy next week during our training sessions. I mean, for you guys to ask your questions using the chat box that entire time is going to be extremely frustrating for you, and you'll probably just quit asking questions. But we also want to make it so that you guys are not talking over each other. So we just want to, take the opportunity to kind of practice that today. And so if you have a question, please use this to raise your hand, and we'll do our best to answer it. And I like to see, I think everybody is here today. Everybody's in, we have a couple people not, so that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this is being recorded. And so tomorrow I'll send this recording out along with the PowerPoint presentation that we used today so that those folks that couldn't participate have access to it. And then also you have it as well. Okay, Abby, go ahead, ask your question.
Hey, will the registration of the offers ever replace our independent database where we have the small minority businesses register? Will they eventually be able to register here and this be a place where we can track that?
You want to take that, Mike?
I mean, the answer is yes. When they register, we ask them their additional reporting elements that we currently use to report off of. And that includes their, minority status and also their government certifications. So that's part of their registration. Now, that's the easy answer. The other part is, it takes time to build that database. So there may be some overlap in both systems for a while until we can get that, that data in the offer database populated completely,
Great, thank you. Any more questions? I really think that raising hand strategy is going to work next week. That'll be great. And we're going to do a walkthrough for our first session, so we'll have people identified to make sure that we're tracking all of that as well. Well, we don't have any questions. I'm sure the questions will come next week.
Surely there'll be more questions.
Absolutely. Before I hang up, I'm going to put the team on the spot too, since I did with Clarissa and Venus. Wouldn't be fair to leave out the rest of the folks. So I don't know, Kristen, Stacy, or Lana, if you guys want to share at least one thing that you're really excited about. I mean, you've been a part of this process, putting a lot of effort and hours into this, and I know, throughout some of our testing sessions, I've heard excitement from you guys. So I don't know if you want to share something with the rest of the team.
Well, I'll share that I'm very excited about the fact that the document building will occur inside of PeopleSoft. And so Mac has done an incredible amount of work to get us to a place where our lives are just going to be so much easier and there's going to be less room for mistake. And so I'm just really, really excited about that. And then just being able to, the automation of going from receiving solicitations to making awards, and so much of our information will be housed right in PeopleSoft, so we don't have to go tracking it down all over the place. Even though, like I said in our meeting, there are a lot of processes that we can't decide be changed. It's still nice that even if we're keeping paper files, that we still have it in PeopleSoft as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stacy. Anything from, oh, go ahead, Kristen.
Hey, I would like to echo that sentiment, and I will say that it also makes us look a little bit more unified, so that all of our documents look the same, so that documents, coming from every different campus, all the solicitation documents look the same, and it's just, it really, it looks fantastic. Stacy is absolutely correct. Mac has done a tremendous amount of work, and it really, really looks good. So, actually, the Mike and Mac definitely put a lot of time as well. The job aid that I saw is absolutely fantastic that Joanne put together. I wish when I was teaching myself that I had the job aid. So I think that it'll be very helpful to you. And I really think this is going to be a good thing. I think that everybody's going to be pretty happy with it.
Thanks, Kristen.
And I'll chime in just a little bit, but having seen PeopleSoft from the beginning to where we are today, I feel like a proud mama that we are just stepping back into where we should be in the technology and being able to, as the word has been used several times, but to collaborate with one another and be able to just have it very visible to the community as well as to USC employees. So I'm excited and can't wait for it to kick into gear.
Thank you. And I'm Mac, I'm not leaving you out. Just because you're not training next week, you've been like full on huge part of this team working side by side with Mike here. So if you'd like to share something, please go ahead.
I think everyone said everything that I was excited about. So I'm looking forward to evolving not just what we start in stage one, but then starting to turn on additional features and using some of those software-based technology that we can improve what the current state of affairs is now, not just replicating it in PeopleSoft how we do it today, but like going above and beyond like what we expected.
Absolutely. Great. And like, we're going to go live March 1st, with what's been configured and put together, as of right now. But, down the road, I see these modules really growing and you guys taking full advantage of them. We have another question. So Tracy, go ahead.
Will all the departments also be able to see the solicitations and like they can now? They can look on our webpage. They'll be able to see it in PeopleSoft. Just the end users in any of the departments, if they wanted to kind of look
These
things
solicitations,
up.
Tracy, and Joanne, you can forgive me if I'm over speaking, but
No,
these
go ahead.
solicitations will still be public information, so anybody who had access to them before will have access to them following. Am I right?
Yeah. So what's going to happen is there is a public portal which anybody can access. They don't have to sign in. And so if they have a link, they'll have the link. They click a link, and it'll take them right to this public portal page. And right there is a solicitation opportunities tile, and anybody can click that tile and view what's available. If they want to respond, that's when they'll have to register to receive the username and password information to get in there to respond. So yes, you did speak correctly, Stacy. Go ahead, Tracy.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of the one after they close, after the fact. If they wanted to kind of see what's out there that's not presently open for bids or offers or what have you. Will our
Yes.
so they'll be okay, great.
Yes, it'll never go away unless we manipulate the actual events to not be available to be viewed. But just the date ranges change on those public tiles that they can filter and see closed solicitations or expired notices of intent to award. All that stuff will still be there. They just have to modify their view of what the data is that they're looking at.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Heidi, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. My microphone's on. On that same aspect, I get calls, like when we do minor construction projects, I get calls from construction companies that want to come in, not actually from the construction company, but a construction management that wants to know, you know, they want a copy of the award, who won the award, they want, you know, the bids and the dollar amounts. Can just a construction management company go into this portal and pull that information?
I mean, yeah, it sounds like, I mean, I'm just jumping in and answering that, but you know, that solicitations, first of all, it's going to have everything that is out on our purchasing website now. In addition to that, it could have any type of attachments that we as buyers want to attach and make public. So we're in control of what the public sees on that page. And, you know, we'll obviously put the solicitation document and that sort of thing and the notice of potential award, but any other types of documents that we would want to be presented publicly, we can put that on the event.
They you know, they cite the FOIA and they want, you know, the bid amounts and they used to ask who put in which bids, and I black out those the names of who bid, but I have to give them the amount of each bidder that was bid and the award. Would they have that calculation sheet out there to look at?
I think I know the answer, but I'll let
The
Kristen
award
take the
statement will be out there, Heidi. Now, I know that for construction, if I am incorrect, Clarissa or Kristen, I'm sure will correct me. The bid statements are posted. I mean, the bids tabulations are posted as well, right?
Yes. Yes. with
So
the
everything
award.
that's out there currently for them will be out there when we change over to PeopleSoft.
Okay, that answers my question. I don't post the bid tabulations when I post the award.
Why?
Well, we don't typically for goods and services, but for construction, they do.
Right.
We do
And
for
I was just
construction.
asking why Heidi didn't for construction.
Well, it's under 50,000. We do the small construction projects.
Okay.
We don't do the larger construction projects.
Okay.
But they pick it up out on Skibo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay. Well, this was great, guys. Thank you so much. And team, I think you're seeing how that raising hands is really going to work out for us next week. So that will certainly help us manage questions and everyone talking at the same time. Heidi, did you have something else?
No.
Okay. All right.
Thank
Great. You're welcome. Okay, so I don't see any more hands raised for questions. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us today. The team has you'll be able to see all of the hard work that everybody's put into these new modules that you'll be using. And so we look forward to seeing you in training next week. Like I said, reach out if you don't have all of those meeting invites, and also look for an email from me on Monday with the Max distracted me over there. He's using all those emojis. Thank you, Kristen and Mac. A link to the job aids out there on OneDrive. So, all right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day, guys. And we look forward to seeing you in training next week. Take care.
You too. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank
Everybody.
you.
Everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thanks. Bye.